Good evening, everybody, and welcome. We'll begin as we always do and put ourselves in the presence of God and ask God's blessing on our meeting. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Lord God, we come here tonight because you have given us beautiful and wonderful children to care for, to guide, to lead, to educate, and most importantly, to help them come to know the God who loves them so dearly. We ask you to bless us as we always do. We especially ask that you give us your precious gift of wisdom. And we ask that you help us to keep our ears, our eyes, and especially our hearts open to doing your will. And so we ask for the blessing of Almighty God to send on all of us here present and all of you on Zoom, in the name of the Father, and the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. All right. 1 second here. But I would introduce everybody here. I'm trying to get my volume turned off here. I can't get it anymore. Today we have, of course, Ms. Yamamo and Mrs. Kazel, and Ms. Jones, and Matt Coker, our athletic director, and we have our PTO co-chairs, Jessica Price-Smith and Jennifer Wick. And so we're here, obviously, to present where we are today in terms of school in the fall, or next month, and be open to questions and answers for both the school and also athletics. So we're glad that we have so many present, and with that, I will turn this over to Lucy.
Thank you again, and welcome. Since early summer, we've been meeting together and planning for synchronous learning for our students. All of you received the letter in constant contact yesterday indicating that we will choose to continue the plan for reentry into the school year with both models offered for blended learning. We have purchased the technology for synchronous learning, and we will also offer a remote option. For online, once again, we will be using swivel technology for those of you who choose to stay at home for learning, and we will have an excellent Gesu education for you, as well as for those who choose to remain face-to-face. We have had our inspection from PSI and University Hospitals reviewing our building, offering suggestions, and giving us affirmation in the safe return plan. And we open it up to you for any questions that you may have regarding the plan. As we met in the first town hall, we said that we would meet again and afford you an opportunity to ask additional questions. We also give you the opportunity to take a look at what some of our classrooms look like so that you have an understanding of not only the practices that will be in place, but also a visual of what our classrooms will look like when your kids return to school in the few weeks. So I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Kazel for a review of some of our classrooms and pictures of our school environment.
So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen because we have a slideshow prepared. We have been extremely busy throughout the summer, obviously, in preparing our classrooms and preparing our entire building for return. So we wanted to thank everyone who has helped out with all of this, including our stream team, who has helped to make posters, our maintenance crew, who has helped to move desks, who have helped to move partitions. It's been an extremely group effort. So we, as Lucy had mentioned, we had our visit just the other day from PSI and UH, and so we have a picture here of kind of our cafeteria, which is going to be an open learning space, not necessarily used for cafeteria at this time. To the left, you'll see that we have welcome to Gesu, face masks required. These are signs that are present all around our building, including at every entry door that would be used. When you immediately enter Gesu from the front main entrance, and that will be the only entrance that parents would be able to enter through, we have a hand sanitizing station. And then one of our school secretaries, Mrs. White, her desk has been moved in the hallway so that you can proceed to a table where you would answer screening questions, and then Mrs. White would also take your temperature. We also have, once that has been completed, and a parent or another person may be able to move through the school. We do have signage throughout the school on the floor, reminding everyone to keep their distance, social distance, as well as what side of the hallway they would be proceeding down. So another version of kind of the front entrance, but also the side, you can see that we have our mask up signs stationed around the school. We have the dots that are on the floor that encourage the social distancing. We also, if you were able to see this, we have fitted our water, our drinking fountains. So the drinking fountains themselves have been turned off, but 4 drinking fountains in the building have been a water bottle filler has been added.
Right.
So students are able to refill their water bottles at these stations.
You'll also notice at the side that there's,
I'll go back.
thanks, that there's a secondary clinic added. The area that used to be the teachers' mailboxes has become a secondary clinic for us. So that parents, if there's an incident where you have to come pick up your child from the clinic, will not have to go through the school to access the clinic. There's a secondary clinic that's available right outside of Mrs. Buck's office. And you access the kids from that clinic if they're going home, and outside in that area if you're waiting to pick them up for a doctor's appointment.
This is a picture of 2 of our 5th grade classrooms. Obviously, they are not decorated for the beginning of the school year, but as you can see, our desks are spaced according to the recommendations that we've been given. To the right, we have our repurposed music room, which has become one of our kindergarten classrooms, and that has partitions that you can see, the blue partitions. On the left is our stream center, and it is hard to see because they are clear, but our stream team has created plastic barriers, so if in locations that we have tables such as those, 2 students to a table, and we have the plexiglass partition that would be in between. On this slide, you'll just see a variety of the signs that we've created, as well as another picture of the plexiglass partitions that we've created in the stream center, our social distancing signs, our mask up signs. These help me out with this one. M-line, thank you. M-line partitions are actually from a company on the west side, I believe in Brunswick, that have created these. And it's 3-sided with kind of plexiglass on all 3 sides, and they can be folded up, and they fit well on a desk. So we have ordered several of these, and we're waiting for the shipments to be able to come in, so we may be able to use these as well. Several hundred of them, yes, several hundred. Not just a few. Sorry. Our next, we have all other signs that we kind of have posted around the building. We've always, I felt, had signs about washing our hands. We've just kind of updated these signs, made them a little snazzier, a little more eye-catching as well. Our masks up signs, and then other helpful reminders about not touching your eyes, keeping your distance, stay at home if you're not feeling well, those types of signs as well. So that is our building. Let me stop sharing. Okay, that is just a little snapshot into our building and certain areas of things that we've put into place to help with our reentry plan. I believe at this time we are happy to take questions.
We're open the chat.
Yes. So we will be opening our chat. We did this in our last town hall. So if you do have a question that you want us to answer, please feel free to add it to the chat, and I will read it and we will respond accordingly.
Specific to school.
Specific to school right now, yes. We will get to CYO. So our first question, are there 4 kindergarten classes now?
No.
No, there are not. We repurposed our music room, knowing that it was a larger space for our kindergarten class. So we still have 3 kindergarten homerooms with 1 being repurposed in the music room. Okay, here we go.
Can you, I can't read it from here.
I don't know if I can.
Community updated uniform guidelines.
Updated uniform guidelines again, yes. So we have, obviously, we'll start with the gym uniforms. So on a gym day, students are able to wear their gym uniform to school and will wear their gym uniform throughout the day. In addition, students are able to wear navy polos in addition to white polos that we've always offered. Our summer uniform consists of polos and not ties for our junior high or second floor boys. That's going to be continued throughout the school year. So boys will not be required, thank you, I say permitted, but not be required to wear ties. But they can wear polos, both navy and white, throughout the school year. In addition, this year, obviously, mask is a uniform, part of our uniform, and we just ask that it be a mask that is an appropriate, or I should say face covering, that is appropriate for school. It can be a gaiter, it can also be a mask as well. Or, yes. Okay, is that all with our uniform options, I believe? Okay. Will 3, I don't know what that means. Thank you for your hard work. Thank you for the nice compliment. Is it then unnecessary for us to purchase partitions for our children? Will they be provided by the school?
We're doing our best to get the partitions. You know, the supply chain has been held up a little bit, so we're confident that we should be able to get them. I don't believe it's necessary for you at this point. We'll source out the partitions that we receive first to the areas that are the lower end of the social distancing. Some of our classrooms have 6 feet or above of social distancing, and we will get those as soon as they are available to us. I don't believe at this time it's required or necessary for you to do so between what Mr. Martinick and the stream team have deployed to us and what we're purchasing. We'll let you know in a further communication if we should need it. But I think we're pretty well confident that we can get most of these things by our September 8th start date.
Next question, what percentage of students are doing remote? As you can imagine that this number has changed throughout the last few days. And we were just calculating the number recently. We believe it's around 15% right now of our student population will be remote this fall. The next question, how many children per classroom?
That varies to the grade level. Regardless of the pandemic, some of the class sizes have been smaller all around. For example, our 5th grade classroom are naturally a smaller group. And we remove our remote learners from that. We have a good ratio within there. So they're all individual by grade level. I think our largest class size would be around 23, and our smallest average is about, I'd say 18, 15 to 18.
The next question, why are you opening when our county is still in red and the virus is spreading quickly and easily?
I think that is stated within the letter. Our Catholic schools are schools of choice. We believe that we've created a safe reentry plan for you as parents, but it is your choice. It's your choice to decide if you wish your child to continue in this manner. We've received consultation from a number of organizations, the Center for Disease Control, the American Academy of Pediatrics. We've talked as staff members, we've talked with our area Catholic schools, area private schools, and have found that it's a recommendation. And you as the parent know that we can't promise you that there is nothing that's going to happen. within our school day for any reason. You have to make the choice that's best for your family, the choice that's best for your individual circumstances. And we believe that as parents, you make the choice, and know that we are here for you, and that we are confident that our school is as safe as can be, and that we've vetted, we've gone through every aspect of things, looked at everything as best we can. We will provide you a safe environment and leave it to you to make the choice of what is in the best interest of your family, because all families have special circumstances.
Next is please update us on preschool options.
Preschool. We are still discussing preschool. Some of you would require a request that there be a virtual component to our preschool. And Mrs. Lautenbach and I will be talking about that. So at this time, you can expect communication directly from Mrs. Lautenbach about what a virtual program would look like. In the initial stages of this, it was, just to clarify what you are looking for, and how we would address that with the time frame. Should we go remote at any point? What will that look like? And so we are still in the process of defining that for our preschoolers, our pre-kindergartners, and our throughout to our 3-year-olds, because the nature of preschool is primarily the socialization aspect of it. So we're looking at different ways that we can incorporate that for you, because we hear your request. We hear what you're looking for, that you want that to continue with it. So we are still in the process of discussing it, and she's reaching out to a few of the families. I wish I could give you a firmer response right now, but we are in process of creating a look for what that would be for our virtual learners for preschool.
The next question, what are kindergarten class sizes for in-person? Currently, we have anywhere between 23 students for in-person and to 25 students in person for kindergarten. That's where, out of our 3 homerooms, I believe it's 23, 25, and I want to say somewhere in between 24, obviously. Again, another question about pre-K, so I think that one was answered. Will each classroom have the plastic shields for the desks? So currently, as Lucy has stated, the M-Line products that we have purchased are for classrooms where we had a larger class size. We have, or classrooms where students might have a little bit larger bodies. I'm thinking of our junior high classrooms as well. So we have purchased those in the idea of using them in those locations. We are still in our stream center creating our plastic shields as well. So we'll be moving forward with those. And again, depending on the supply chain and how fast all of these can be created and given to us, we'll work to make that happen. Our next question is, how many to a class? Will those numbers be released? What are the percentages of students at home versus students remote learning?
Once again, the numbers change between home and remote, and approximately 15% of our kids are going remote. Per grade level, it varies. It varies in the percentile of people who are going remote or will be engaging in face-to-face learning. So if you have a question on it, just give us a call about your particular child if you'd like. And, it varies, because we're still going to always give you the option to say, at this point, I can't go face-to-face, I will choose to start remote. That's your choice as a parent. And some people are coming in and saying, okay, I'm comfortable, I'll go face-to-face based on that. So, towards a little further down, closer to the start of school, you have the option. We're flexible in that.
Do you want to provide a present enrollment number?
Presently, we've maintained our enrollment at 631.
Oh, I heard 634 today.
Okay.
Close enough.
We're at 630-ish in our numbers. There are, like I said, about 15% of our kids that are not going to be with us face to face. but we will still engage in remote learning with the swivel environment for all of them. That will be, I'm not going to give you I don't have it in front of me, all the individual numbers of how many we're having in each of the grade levels, because that's different, and still has opportunity for people to change. So what we're planning to do is go through all of this tomorrow, identify our still our face-to-face and our remote learners, and then start to send out your back-to-school packets for the beginning and start of the school year.
Please clarify when and where masks will be required. So obviously, as all of you know, throughout the summer, the mandates and the requirements for masks have continually changed. So currently, our students, all of our students will be required to wear masks while they are in the building at all times. So that's going to be my beginning statement. We have talked with you throughout all summer that we understand the need for mask breaks. When PSI and university hospitals were here the other day, we also talked about that when students are outside, when students are able to maintain the 6 feet of social distancing, masks can be removed. So if we decide that we take students outside, which we are totally excited to do, and I know our teachers are excited to do that as well, students can have a mask break at that time. So if they are outside, obviously we will still be social distancing them. PSI and university hospitals also says that when physical activity is taking place, so when a heart rate is increasing or when obviously that would increase breathing, that masks should not be worn. So that would be something like if we are doing some physical activity in a gym class, that would also be when masks can be taken off. We have also stated, just to clarify, I know this would be a follow-up question, that a PE will be outside when weather permits and we're able to do so. If PE is inside, be rest assured that our family center is the size of about 2 gymnasiums and we're able to physically distance our students with non-contact activities, and then masks would be taken down at that time as well.
We've talked to the staff members as well about the use of masks. We also recognize that at times it's going to be necessary, especially for our little ones, for them to have the opportunity to view their teachers' faces and to be able to read their teachers' expressions on things. So our teachers will also have a clear visor. That does not replace the mask. They will be wearing, our teachers will be wearing masks. If they are doing something for instruction, they're able to pull it down, but they also have access to a visor. And if they're standing clear distance away, they can work with the gaiter, the mask, or the visor. They will at times ask your child, because especially if we're working with, let's say, our speech therapist will need to see how words are formed, how letters and sounds are made, and they will need access to see your child's face. So there will be some things that we do differently. Primarily with our little ones, we will give them lots of mask breaks, lots of outdoor time. We recognize that socially and emotionally, this is a big thing for our kids as well. We feel that we can operate safely in that, especially with our instruction levels, and that teachers have been told, use outside as much as you can. Take your kids for a walk, give them plenty of mask breaks, give them the opportunity to see you. And so there's different things that we're going to put into place so that kids emotionally have a connection, and they're not seeing the mask of their teacher rather than seeing the face of their teacher. So we'll be working on a lot of that.
Right. The next one, are there still approximately 27 children per kindergarten class? So 27 children per kindergarten class, yes, not 27 children in person learning. So as we just stated, that number is between the 23 and 25 mark. Will there still be specials for older students? So yes, there will actually be specials for all of our students. All of our students will still take part in art class, will still take part in PE class, will still take part in tech class, etc. Our older students, our 7th and 8th graders, will still have their elective, as we call it when we move into 7th, 8th, and 8th grade. We'll still have an elective schedule, which just encompasses a few more specials than what we offer in the younger grades, including entrepreneurship class, including a Latin class. So yes, those will still be in place. I think we've answered the next. A lot of them came at 7:13, so a lot of these are just very, very similar. So if you wouldn't mind, if the ones we've already asked, I'm gonna proceed through. What percentage of students are going online? Okay. Okay, the next question, if a student tests positive for COVID, is the entire class quarantined? What about siblings of that particular student or class? Do you wanna?
Sure. A lot of it has to do with, well, let me back it up and say that we have an affiliation with PSI, and we'll work with PSI in that. We have our nurse, Mrs. Tatro, and we've asked for a health aide to come on board to help and support Mrs. Tatro. From what we've been given, which is a flow chart from PSI, it outlines it for us. So if a child tests positive for COVID, the report comes into the school, it's reported, you work with your pediatrician, and because our kids are in cohorts, we're able to identify who had close contact with the child for more than 15 minutes, less than 6 feet apart, and we're able to report that. If that's the case, you will get a communicable disease notice that indicates that your child has been exposed to COVID, and that it's warranted by the pediatrician and the Board of Health. Then we would move into a remote classroom environment for your kids. If there is a case where someone comes down with a temperature, that goes to your pediatrician. We will maintain the 72 hours of fever-free with no altering medications for the kids before they return to school. And there are direct guidelines that allow us to have a release of them back into the classroom environment for instruction. Okay?
Siblings would be the same thing for the siblings.
Yes.
So Ms. Jones-Mary Carroll just asked about siblings in case no one heard that, and yes, Ms. Yamlo just said the same thing would be in place. The next question, what will be the protocol around restroom breaks? So as university hospitals came through, we also had this wonderful conversation regarding restroom breaks. So currently in our restrooms, each sink, each stall, each urinal, every other is marked off. So every other stall, every other urinal, every other sink can be used. Doors will be propped open as long as doors being propped open maintains privacy for who is inside. So we have some restrooms that we're able to prop open the entry doors and you see nothing but the wall. And so therefore those doors will be propped open. Other doors make it a little more challenging to do so, and the recommendation is to remind the students that they should be using elbows when they enter those doors if that need be.
Our teachers will also work together to form a plan on when the whole class goes down and you stagger kids into the use for the lavatory. But that doesn't mean that if there's an emergency, the child has always the opportunity to say something to the teacher and to use their restroom. We just like to make sure that after recess, the kids are able to go in, wash their hands, go back in, sit down, and start an activity, quiet activity through the course of getting all the class back together. So we do have some protocols in place, simple as moving to the lockers staggered, or using the restroom in a staggered manner too.
The next question relates to the supply list. On the website, is the supply list up to date? As far as I am aware. What do you think, Mayor Carroll?
I believe so, yes. I'll double check, but I believe we did put it on.
I believe so too. I think it's already current. However, when you get your back to school packet, it will have all of the forms that you will need to complete, be you a remote learner or a face-to-face learner. In there will also be a letter from your respective grade level teachers. And if there's anything in addition that they're asking for or requiring, that will be included in there as well. So, for example, some of the classrooms are anticipating going outside and sitting on the lawn and completing an activity or doing some reading outside. And they've requested that they bring in a towel or yoga mats for the kids to sit on so that they're not sitting on the grass. That will be included in your back to school letter as well.
Right. The next two questions have been answered a smidge, but I know sometimes people enter the Zoom session and may not have heard. Estimated percentage of enrollment for in-person versus online. As we have kind of stated before, 15% of our population, and we're around 634, we said today, for total population. So about 15% of that total population has chosen the virtual learning option. The next question asks about the number by grade level. Obviously, we are working with families, as some families as recently as yesterday have decided on one option over another. And so that number continues to change. We can release that information to you, that we can share that with you, but we just ask for a few more days. Obviously, this week we've received a lot of information from parents, a lot of updates from parents if they wanted to choose, some choosing one way, some choosing the other. So that number has been changing, but we can get that out to all of you. The next question is, what is the uniform guideline for teleconference students or remote learners? The uniform guideline is the same as students who are in school. We feel strongly that that students who are remote, as well as students who are on campus, are still our Gesu students, that they're still showing up for school every day, that they're still receiving the education that Gesu is providing. We talked at the last town hall a little bit about showing up as a student and what that looks like. And we have, as a community for Gesu for years, have had uniforms in place. And so we still feel remote learners, as well as learners who are on campus, should maintain the uniform as they come to school prepared to learn and prepared to be educated. Yes. Related to the, remote learning students as well, we will have a orientation for all of our remote learners so that they are very familiar and very aware of guidelines and expectations for remote learners, which would include talking to them about uniform and attire.
We also plan to include an orientation for all of our students as they stagger in about what the expectation is about remote learning. So all of our kids will be trained in the use of how to access remote learning, how to access programs. They'll be talked to by the stream team and Mr. Martinek about what the expectations will be for remote learning. The requirements for dress code will be there, and part of that is why we've relaxed what the dress code would be for our kids, and thank you to our PTO for bringing that to our attention, because we want them to be professional, and we still want them to be comfortable. Again, I think it fits in with the social emotional aspect for our kids. It's going to be a change. It's going to be a change to be able to wear their masks, and we want them to be comfortable, but we still want them to be reminded that there's a professional level that we expect them to adhere to.
Okay. The next is, and I'm going to screen share for this one, that we had already said that we had the plexiglass. So the statement says, you told me already that you had plexiglass. So I just want to clarify of what we are making in the Stream Center, as well as what is coming from a different company. Yes, I am screen sharing. Great. So this item here, this three-sided item, is from a company that we are ordering through. Okay, so this is an item that we have not created ourselves. It's coming from a company. This is where it is still in process shipping to us. Let me scoot back.
Can you show them the kindergarten?
Yes. Yeah, so this slide here shows you the item on the left. I think you can see my cursor move. That is a plexiglass. It is just not three-sided, it is just, what do I want to say? Shield, thank you. This is what we have made in our Stream Center, and this is what we currently obviously have on our tables at school, as well as our holders. We also currently have in our kindergarten rooms, our three-sided divider. It's not plexiglass, it is...
It's like a laminate covering.
Absolutely.
The M-line things should be in by the 19th of August. I have a shipping thing here, so.
Thanks.
So just to clarify, those are the items that we've created, those are the items that we have, and as Michael has just stated, the items that are being shipped. Okay, just want to make sure I'm not missing one. Okay, Lucy, I'm going to defer to you on this one, obviously. Have you heard about the surrounding communities concerning busing, about busing continuing?
Cleveland Heights has been wonderful about keeping us in the loop of things. And Scott from Cleveland Heights has told us that yes, their plan is to continue transportation. That is still everything is subject to change, but at the present time, yes, we can anticipate that we will be getting transportation from Cleveland Heights and I believe Shaker. So I haven't talked to Beechwood and Orange districts yet, but I believe the same falls through with South Euclid Lyndhurst. So we should be confident that we'd have the buses and as well that they'd be able to physically distance our kids a little bit more on the buses.
Great. Can you go over the start dates and when they will be fully back? Yes, so I actually just pulled up my calendar just to make sure that I have my dates correct when I'm telling all of you this. So August 31st is going to be our remote learner orientation. So the day where we're having remote learners going through a schedule of what their expectations are, giving them their devices, talking about uniforms, talking about when they will have breaks throughout the day. September 1st, we will have, go ahead.
Separate sessions that parents will sign up for.
Yes. Yes. So on the 31st, when we have a remote learner orientation, there will be separate sessions that parents will be asked to sign up for and attend with their child.
That'll be in a letter for our remote learners as well. And that everyone will have a remote learning contract so that in so doing and staggering all of our kids in, they'll have the remote orientation. And our remote learners, of course, will be, if the event that we have to switch to a remote learning, everyone will be prepared and we will have access to the technology at the start of the year so that if we need to shift over into a remote learning atmosphere, we're able to do so very quickly.
Absolutely. September 1st, our 7th and 8th graders will come. Our September 2nd will be 5th and 6th. September 3rd will be 3rd and 4th. And September 4th will be 1st and 2nd. We will all be back. We're all on-campus learners. We'll be back in the building on September 8th, the day after Labor Day. So that I believe that information has gone out. Have we posted that? Or I know our letter that is going out in Constant Contact. That information has been shared on Constant Contact, but it will also be in the letter that is going home.
7 and 8 will be remote the rest of the week.
Yes. So our 7th and 8th graders, we chose to start our 7th and 8th graders on September 1st because they are able to have full use of their device and begin remote learning, can continue remote learning for the remainder of that week. So if they come in on that Tuesday, our 7th and 8th graders, meeting their teachers, following learning expectations, they can then kind of dive right into their curriculum and begin working on that for the remainder of the week. Okay.
Question.
Yep.
So the students are coming in the week of August 31st. When will parents come in, have an opportunity to meet the teachers?
The Thursday and Friday before the 31st, which is the
27th and 28th.
Yeah, 27 and 28, we'll hold our orientation for you. Much like we did when we did technology drop-off and book drop-off, and your pickup of your materials. We'll work the same thing through. So classes will be open. You'll have an assigned time by alphabet to come into the school. We'll physically distance as we come in. You come in, drop off materials as you need to, meet the teacher, and move through so that we're physically distanced and we can let the next set of people come in. So it'll be by alphabet in 3 sessions on Thursday and Friday. Also, the parish is holding an outdoor mass on the 22nd. Of Saturday the 22nd. Miramar is going to be closed off, and bring your own chair and celebrate Mass as a family together. Our school building will be open for you to pick up supply kits on that day and also the day before. So all of that's going to be out in the letter that we're going to be sending out within the near future, next couple of days. If by any chance you can't make it on the days that are there, just give us a call. We can arrange a time for you to pick up your supply box. And, you know, as we've done always, there's always a time for you to come in and meet the teachers and see firsthand what the school building looks like.
Next question, are face shields acceptable instead of face masks? So the distinction between face shields and face masks, a face shield is open at the bottom. And so therefore face shields are acceptable when physical distancing can be maintained. So we ask that all of our students have a face covering, is what we try to refer to them as, which can be the mask or can be the gaiter. That's the preferred method, as that is what the professionals are saying is the most effective. However, the face shields, we also, as Ms. Yamlo has mentioned, the face shields allow for us to see the teachers, allow teachers to see the students. And so face shields are acceptable when physical distancing can be maintained. So we ask all of our students to have face coverings. We ask all of our students to have face coverings, and then if the need provides itself, if we are able to have the face shields, if the teacher is able to maintain the physical distancing, then those can be used.
So in the hallways, everyone still needs to have their face masks on. When you are in the hallways, everyone has their face masks on entering the building and in the shared spaces. When you are in your class and you are in your desk, if you are distanced, you are able to use your face shield without having your mask up.
Correct.
For the little ones, yes.
Okay.
Correct. Okay. Are the remote learners required to bring the supply list during orientation or leave them at home? Right now, remote learners we feel can leave their supply list at home. There's obviously many pieces and parts on that supply list that students would be using at home. So no need to bring the supplies in. If in the future the student transitions to back to on campus, then the supplies can come in at that time. Two very nice comments about thank yous. Just a note to express gratitude for the hard work to the principals, task force, Father Kaiser, and teachers. This is an excellent, safe, and well thought out plan. Thank you for the opportunity to send our children to school. God bless. So read that as well. Next question, do remote students need to be in uniform? We mentioned this before, and at this time, yes, all of our students, remote or on campus, would be in uniform. We still have orientation on August 27th, so yes, we just answered that. I know some of these came in way before what we're answering now, so if I feel like we've just answered them, we're just going to zip through them. Another thank you. We'll take all the thank yous. Okay. Are there any changes to attendance policies to allow for parents to manage cautiously? So I know. Are there any changes to attendance policies?
Oh, yes. So we know that in the beginning it's going to be difficult, and we don't want you to have anxiety over things like the car line and coming in late as far as that is concerned. So our teachers are going to receive professional development in that area of picking the things that we know will lessen the anxiety of our kids. We know, and we currently do that, if it's a rainy day and there's a long car line, we just send the kids right up to class. So we'll be working on the attendance issue as far as punctuality is concerned. Know that if you're nervous about anything and you wish to switch, and that's a little bit why we're hesitant about publishing what our numbers would be, because we do expect them to ebb and flow throughout the course of the quarter. There are people who will say, okay, there's personal reasons why I cannot do this right now, but I will call you in 5 weeks. And if it's okay, is it okay for the kids to come back to school? You know that we're here for you, and we'll do whatever we can to make it easier for you. We will also look and be honest with you as far as what our numbers look like, and be reflective of what the county is going through. And so should it be that things worsen in the community, or you feel it's not right for your particular child, your family, it goes back to our idea of why we're doing what we're doing. We are a school of choice, and you make the best decision for your child. We are blessed that we received the funding that we received so that we're able to have these remote pieces within the classroom. And if you need to switch to a remote environment, we're a phone call away. And that's part of the reason why we're training everyone in the remote aspect and giving everyone a remote contract so that you're able to see it, you make a decision, and it's, as I said, a phone call to say to us, for the next 5 weeks, this is what's happening in our family and this is what we'd like to do. What we don't want to see is Monday we're in, Tuesday we're out, Wednesday we're out, Thursday we're in. That's an attendance nightmare for us. And really it's a safety issue. We don't want to rely on that. So we'd ask you to commit to us. But if you need to rethink what your choice is, you just call us, and we'll help you with that any way that we can. Okay.
The next question is, what are the parameters related to school potentially going remote? And so I believe that question is asking fully remote. Mm-hmm. So as we have stated in our reentry plan, if our county moves to purple, our entire school will be remote. Also, if we have a mandate like we did last spring from the governor, we would also move to all school remote learning.
We also have an ability to look at our individual numbers. And we began doing so when the whole pandemic thought began with COVID. Every day we monitored our attendance and the rationale for why someone was out. Was it due to flu? Was it due to vacation? We will continue to do so. You'll notice that there'll be some changes in the reporting of attendance for your kids. There'll be a health assessment and questions related to the health assessment. But if there's a need for isolation and you're attending remotely, your attendance is documented when you sign into the class through remote learning, for remote learning. So, it's, we'll work with you again.
My son starts kindergarten this year. He has a screening coming up in a few weeks. Is that still going to happen?
Yes, and you will get the letter from the kindergarten teachers. The transition in the kindergarten classrooms puts all of the kindergartens in one particular area by where the music room is and the other 2 classrooms. So yes, you will be assigned your time. There's a new staggered letter that'll give you the information of when you'll be asked to report with your child's teachers, giving the screening so that they're able to assess and document, where your child stands for kindergarten entrance. Okay.
Great. Well, kindergartners doing remote need to be on Zoom from 8 to 2:40. I think the clear answer for that is I don't think any of our students who are doing remote would be on Zoom from 8 till 2:40. Just like students who are in the classroom, there are breaks that happen and there are transitions that happen. So the same obviously would be true for kindergartners as other students as well. As we're always discussing this, I think it's the teachers' communication with that learner, if they're a remote learner at home or a group of remote learners at home, as to we are doing an activity now, continue that activity, join us back on Zoom in 15 minutes. or we are heading to lunch now, we'll see you, will you join us back in another 20 minutes or half hour. So there will not be a student that will be screened, eyes to screen from 8 o'clock to 2:40. But how that will look will obviously be depending on the day and depending on the students' activities for that day. If the teacher is taking students for a walk, then the teacher may say to the remote learning students, to go for a walk themselves, obviously with a parent or parent permission. But so that would be time for break as well.
We recommend for our remote learners that you find a dedicated space for the kids to do their work. That there's a desk or an area that's quiet with all of the materials at hand and easy access. And that one of the things that you should consider getting is a little timer, so that if something is said about coming back in 15 minutes, they can set the timer and return to the Zoom environment, from the Zoom environment to the classroom within an appropriate amount of time.
Will we have 245 Club available? And if so, what are the difference in approach? What is the difference in approach?
In all of the programs that we offer, we are consistent with what the transitioning forward document is within from the diocese. CYO or 245 Club will manage in the same manner to keep it as safe as possible for our students. Mrs. Nemeth has asked that we have to that are able to prepare. All people who are interested in participating in 245 have their requests into Mrs. Nemeth by August 31st. The ratio for child care has been given to us. She will increase the level of cohorts that she has and increase the staffing so as to support physical distancing. She's aware of the cleanliness routines that are necessary for 245 Club. It's easier to manage with the greater number of people that she will have on board. So as soon as you can get your request in for 245 Club at rnemeth@gesu.com, send her an email saying sign us up for 245 Club. She's got quite a list already, and know that there's increased spaces that will be required for her to check students in, and then various staff members will be assigned a cohort of students to work with so that we're able to, if we need to, go back and trace if there's any incident of COVID. So it'll be our contact group.
Okay, a few, again, some of these questions coming in as we've been discussing and about masks and reiterating, making sure that we reiterate to all of you that we will have mask breaks, especially for kindergarten is one of the questions that might be challenging for the younger students like kindergarten and masks. Will they have breaks from that? And yes, absolutely, we've kind of discussed that, but for sure, yes. Next question is, what is the process to change my reentry plan response? And that would just be a simple email to the administration letting us know that you would like to change that response, and we can change your plan. Okay. Okay. I think we discussed this, but we can address it if it's not complete. What is your criteria to end in-person classes? Do you have a threshold for number of 6 students or teachers?
Number of
how many, I guess, positive cases would it mean for us if we were to go fully remote?
I think we would look at the number and then the ratio per classroom of instances of illness. It could be non-COVID related. It could be, simple childhood illness. We will always refer to the CDC's recommendations and talk with you about things. If we see that the number is large, then we'll contact the Board of Health and under their advisement determine what our next steps would be. More than likely, before it even gets to 5 or 6 cases, at the first case you'd be getting a communicable disease notice as you would in any other instance of strep throat or chicken pox, things like that. Did I answer that question?
Yes. Have there been any teachers that have decided not to return? Nope. Quick answer for that, nope, our teachers are returning. Is there an increase in interest from families switching to Gesu from their public school since it is remote? This in turn could increase in-person class sizes and less social distancing within a classroom and or grade level.
Me, Judy and I have had that discussion. And in fairness to our people who are currently enrolled, we are looking at families perhaps that have had a particular connection in the past with Gesu. Are we looking to, we could very well look at it and say, oh, okay, anybody who is in Shaker schools and wants to avoid that. But that's not our intent to do so. So Mrs. Herbert and the administrative team will look at it in a case-by-case basis. We are not looking to get to the 27 level of max where our kids are, because our intent is to keep, you are a remote learner or face-to-face learner, you are still someone within the class that our teachers have to interact with. And they have specific guidelines that we're sharing with them for instruction through the course of the year. So our intent is not to flood the classrooms with additional students. Have we had inquiry? Honestly, yes, we have had inquiry, but we're being prudent about people that are accepted into the classrooms. If you've heard of somebody who's returning to Gesu, it's because more than likely they've had a past affiliation with Gesu, a sibling who is currently attending the school, or they moved and they came back to our school. So we are being cautious and being prudent, because it is not our intent to overwhelm the teachers or overwhelm the classrooms with new students.
Parishioners too.
Parishioners too, fathers. Yes.
When will electives be determined for 7th and 8th graders? So we are currently working on schedules, but students usually receive their schedule on the first day. So that is something that's currently still in the works.
We'll email is that for
Oh,
7th,
okay.
8th.
So that's a great point, Mr. Marnick. So for students in grades 6, 7, and 8, we will make sure that we email you if you have physical education the first quarter. So obviously, when we're back on September 8th, you would know to wear your PE uniform. Another group of thank yous. How will teacher coverage be managed for teachers in core areas who possibly get COVID and need to be off for at least 14 days?
We've talked about that with our staff as well, knowing that there's genuinely a shortage of substitutes that are community-wide. So we know that we will be pulling some teachers from particular areas to act as substitutes for our school. We've also talked about hiring a building sub through different programs and different funding. So that is a thought that we are going through. Know that if a teacher is identified as needing to isolate, some of that instruction can be done remotely with teacher technology, and we will have class coverage here. If a teacher needs to go remote or a class needs to go remote, a teacher can still work if there's no symptoms or sickness or illness affiliated with things. Instruction can occur remotely. We even talked about snow days. So the need for, if we need to move to a remote instructional area, and that's all still in the works. So perhaps communicating work from a remote setting for a time when it's not necessarily safe to come to school, or a snow day, but we don't necessarily lose instruction, or we can also supply remote instruction.
Okay.
Administrators can help with something too.
Yeah. We're all here too. that's
245 Club, I'm not sure I'm catching the tail end of some of your responses. Are masks required for students during their time at 245 Club?
Yes. The time being would be outside. You know, she'll have time where she'll ask them to lower their masks and give them an opportunity, but generally, yes.
What time can students get to school? There is no morning club, correct. Correct, there is no morning club at this time. 7:45 is the time that we ask the earliest That way teachers can be in their homerooms and prepared for students to come. So 7:45. Is there a plan for extracurricular activities such as DI, Moondogs, etc.? Can you address that?
We're going to start the year off first and then gradually return it to normal with safety protocols in place. So, for example, DI has changed over the course of years. I don't believe that we would start in that because of the need for space or meeting rooms might be difficult for our GI kids to do so. Choir and Moondogs, that's a hot button as far as a co-curricular activity for our kids. We will try and do certain things remotely or through, for example, the test preparation for ISEE for our older kids will happen, and it'll happen remotely. And practice events for, let's say, Power the Pen can occur remotely. But anything that we add to it, we will add with the safety protocols in place where we can allow for physical distancing and the kids to wear masks. Our plan is to still have National Junior Honor Society and to still have Student Council. But some of the things we'll have to wait on to see how we can do so effectively and safely for our kids.
Would it be possible to see pictures of other grade level classrooms that have a higher in-person class count to see social distancing of a class size of 23 students versus 13? I believe in the pictures, and we can share our slideshow to Constant Contact as well, but that's one of the reasons the pictures were taken. One of our classrooms that we showed you has a class size of 25. Whereas the other classroom that we were sharing in our 5th grade classrooms are 18 to 20. So there are more than just 13 students in the pictures that we were showing. Should technology issues arise for remote learners and instruction is interrupted, what is the process to get students fully advised and up to date? I'm looking at Mr. Martinick on this one.
I mean, can you repeat the?
Absolutely. Should a technology issue arise for a remote learner and instruction is interrupted, what would be the process to get a student back on track?
One thing that we're doing that's a little different this year is we're starting a teacher resource or a parent resource website. So on our website, we'll have a link to this. Mrs. Clary, our stream director, Mr. Stuber, our tech teacher, and myself and several of the other teachers will be making videos with instructions on troubleshooting tips and different techniques. If, for example, the internet goes out, it'll sort of be like the teacher will just have to communicate what was missed or use some recorded things from the classroom about what was missed. We'll make every effort. We're upgrading our bandwidth. We're looking at increased wireless infrastructure, both of which have been approved and we've signed off on. So that should be in place before the school year starts as well.
One thing that would be helpful if you could just check for updates on your own computer systems and your internet access, things like that. And know that we're here to help if there's any kind of problem with it. The plus side to the technology piece as well, even in instruction, is that, you know, in a face-to-face classroom, there's, you teach it, you do practice, and our teachers are used to having like a 30 to 40 minute lesson through the course of time where they're doing general instruction and presenting an objective and then allowing practice time. With this mode, we also have the opportunity for the teacher to record a lesson on a particular topic, and then your kids can go back, take a look at the video, update themselves on something that they may have missed. So there's a continual opportunity to learn as they're going through with the opportunity to record lessons as we're going through.
Can you give an update on any ventilation improvements that have been made or are being considered?
So in the downstairs rooms, we've got HEPA filters and HEPA machines that have been put into place. Those will go into areas that have no window access. So this room wouldn't require it because the ventilation has been updated and the air conditioning has been updated. But in rooms such as one of the 5th grade classrooms, they have HEPA purification filters that are installed in there to do that as well. Also know that Mr. Diemert has got a very strict, rigid plan for the cleaning of our filters and the change out of our filters in our air systems within our classrooms. Our teachers have been instructed that they can open their windows at any time, get the air circulating through. One of the recommendations is that we can use our ceiling fans, but we cannot use oscillating fans within the classroom that would move the air from side to side. We can use our ceiling fans. And Mr. Diemert already has a maintenance plan for that throughout the course of the year for our cold air returns to be cleaned, our filters to be cleaned, and air purification that goes through the normal ventilation is always taken care of.
What are the phase-in dates for kindergarten? Will students be doing remote learning during the phase-in period? So I don't know off the top of my head the kindergarten dates. I'm sure we can find them out before this session ends. But
Isn't it the first 2 weeks of school?
so the 31st, the week of the 31st,
Yes.
and kind of the week of the 8th.
Right, and they'll have small groups come in those days.
And all that'll be in the letter.
Right.
Yes, I know the kindergarten letter was coming out with those dates. So, right, the week of August 31st and the week of September 8th will be small group staggered entrance for kindergarten. Thank you, Ms. Jones. Will students be doing remote learning during the phase-in period? Our 7th and 8th grade, our junior high students, will be doing remote learning. They will start Tuesday, September 1st. They will be here for their kind of phase-in day, and at that time they will be able to receive their devices and therefore be able to continue remote learning for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Oh, I'm sorry.
3 and 4 is not.
No, 3 and 4th is not.
5 and 6? Yeah, I'm sorry. Our 5th and 6th graders who will be starting on that Wednesday, September 2nd, they will also receive their devices and be able to go remote on Thursday and Friday. We are holding off on our 3rd and 4th graders. They're coming, their day is going to be on a Thursday, so really it would only be an additional day on that Friday for them to be remote. And so we just want to have extra time to make sure their devices are also in place. First day school supplies, are these still current, and when will we get them? So yes, first day school supplies are still current. They will be able to be picked up either the 21st.
21 and 22.
Yep, the 21st, which is a Friday, and the 22nd, which is a Saturday. That is when the parish is having their outdoor mass, and so we will be at school. Administration will be at school to allow people to come in and pick that up. As well as if that is not an availability for coming in on the 21st or the 22nd, as always, it will be available during your orientation day on the 27th or the 28th. Plexiglass slides again. I know there was one about recess. Are kids going to be monitored at recess to stay 6 feet apart, especially when they are allowed to take their masks off?
Recess is going to be a challenge. However, we're maintaining our kids in cohorts and in particular areas. So yes, they can drop their masks. We'll try and create different activities for the kids to participate in. Teachers will be with their class and encourage the physical distancing of our students. And that's why within our first quarter, as we're returning to school, it's important for us to know that we are going to have flexible instructional time, so that if instead of taking just one solid block of time at recess, you want to take your class out for a short period of time, go back in for instruction, take your class out again, we're okay with that because our kids need the break. And as we've said to our teacher, the social emotional aspect and the wellness of our kids is is very important to us. So there's going to be flexibility with the teachers and supervision of the students. Their homeroom teachers will be observing them through that and encouraging the kids to do the right thing, to do what they're expected to do. On the front end, before they even come back to school, it's our plan to create a number of videos and talks with our kids about why we're doing what we're doing, and that will also be part of our orientation. And what does it look like as part of our Gesu way to do what is right and what is best for all of us, and that we are a community of learners together. We make the right choice for our kids, and we've got great kids, you know, we're blessed with. So I don't foresee any difficulty. It's going to be very hard for them in the beginning as far as cohorts, maintaining cohorts, because you're going to see their friends and being outside, etc. But hopefully they'll understand why we're doing what we're doing, and we're giving them plenty of opportunity to relax the rule a little bit, you know, lower their masks, get some fresh air, be outside, and provide de-stressors within the classroom for our kids. So.
Yeah, I want to kind of piggyback on that as well, and just saying that, you know, parents, you're a part, obviously, of all of this education, and the communication that you have with your children, and the ideas that you express with them are really going to help us at school. If they understand that it is important to you, they're going to understand that it's important at school as well. How will lunchtime be implemented? So currently, our schedule is that there is one one grade that has lunch at a time, and at this time, lunch will still be in homerooms. Students will be able to, if they purchase lunch, to maintaining physical distance, head down to the lunchroom to be handed their lunch, their boxed lunch, to be handed their milk and then or water, and then to return to their homeroom to eat lunch. What about drop off and pickup? What might that look like?
We're working on it. And hopefully that'll be a good thing that comes out of COVID. That we relook and rethink our drop off and our pickup as well. Know that pickup will take a while longer, depending on the transportation issues from our local districts. So we're waiting for final communication from our districts. Morning drop off will probably take a similar look, but may change slightly. Where it will be difficult for us will be in after school pickup, because we will take our time in releasing our kids for social distancing, staggering it by mode of transportation. If you're taking the bus home, we'll call individual buses, and kids will be dismissed through particular doors. The same thing for our car riders or our walkers. We will take our time to dismiss kids by grade level. So very well could be that you'll see an extended amount of time for our dismissal. But our kids will be supervised by their teachers until that time. So.
Next, and correct me if I'm wrong in this answer, but when will we know the bus schedule? That's going to be dependent on your district that you were in. They will be the ones that communicating that to you. Will all kids get a Chromebook? So I guess the answer to that is all students will receive a device. Do you want to answer that, Mr. Martinick, or do you want me to answer that? I'm sorry.
It's okay. As of right now, all students in 4th through 8th have a Chromebook. Students in K1 and 2 and 3, we're still working on those devices coming in, still waiting on an update for that. But we also have still carts of devices that we can disinfect and use for technology. Remote learners will have the first priority in those grades to get devices, followed by whatever we use in the classroom.
Thanks.
Was the next one also tech related?
Chromebooks, access to constant contact would just be an email. Yeah. So if you do not get constant contact, you can just email one of us, email the office, email myself, and we can get you on there.
And Reagan, just to clarify, constant contact is email. It's not a special app. It is the email that you get from Gesu each Wednesday.
Or whenever there's a vote.
How will you be handling higher risk activities such as music class when singing is occurring? Do you want to address music?
Sure.
I can address music.
Sure. When you come in, you'll see that there's some classroom changes. The Bulldog Gym will not be used for gym classes this year. What we will do is use that for music classes. We'll limit the amount of singing that goes on, and Mr. Han will focus on rhythm or musical theory or just different aspects of music instruction rather than it being choir related or singing. So that will be changed. He'll use the Bulldog Gym or he'll push into a classroom depending on the nature of the class.
Will the class have a main microphone to give remote learners the opportunity to participate in discussions with students in the classroom? So yes, remote learners, when they are on their computer, they can unmute and their microphone will be able to be used and will be able to be heard by the class. School masses. Will school masses be only by grade rather than the entire school?
Talk about it.
We're very conscious of the fact that we want the kids to go to Mass and that we're a religious school, and the most important reason and the only reason we are here is because we want our kids to know God loves them and come to know Jesus. So yes, we will have school masses. We're still working through the details. Right now it looks like this, that once a week we will have a Mass on Friday at 8:30, and one class will be at that Mass, and the rest of it will be live streamed to the other students in the school. We're considering also adding another Mass during the week at 8:30, maybe on a Thursday or another day that week, that would not be live streamed, but for another grade to be there so that every student would have a chance to go to Mass at least once a month, in person, receive communion, etc.
Studies have shown that children 10 years and older can transmit COVID similar to adults. Having middle school students and elementary students in the same building is concerning. Any thought about this? Any advice from UH? Do you want me to address that? I can address that. So our students, if you're familiar with our building, you're aware that our 5th through 8th grade is on the 2nd floor, and that our 1st through 4th grade is on the 1st floor, and our kindergarten is on our lower level. So we have always had kind of a separation in that. We are maintaining our students in not only in their grade level, but in their homeroom cohort. So students will be involved with students in the same homeroom. They will not be mixing, and that's one of the reasons why Morning Club was decided to be canceled, because we did not want that crossover between students of a younger grade and an older grade. UH, any advice from UH? No, it was not even an area of concern.
Concern for them.
Okay. You have 84 messages. It's hard to scroll through them.
Maybe you should turn it over to Mr. Kalkas.
That's fine. Yes, absolutely. So, right, we don't want to, yeah, we're going to go through these questions, continue to go through these and make sure that I'm pulling out any that we have not fully addressed. But I know that Mr. Kolkar is here from CYO, and we offered absolutely for questions and answers to be given to him. So I'm going to pass the microphone over to him for the moment to go through these questions.
Before Mr. Kolkar goes, just want to say, well, we've looked through more questions here. Just want to say a couple of things. I want to really thank the task force, those people in this room, plus the other faculty that were part of it, and Danny Deemert, our director of maintenance, and all the people who worked so hard this summer. We're so happy that we have been able to give you two options, two really good options. Neither are optimal. We live in a pandemic, but we think we've spent the time and the talent and the money to make sure that if you're a remote learner, it'll be the best we can do today. And if you're a student that comes in class, that we can make it as safe as we can be. And so I just want to thank everybody who's been here. I'm super proud of the staff here. And we're so happy that we can present to all of you two really good choices so you can make the choice that best fits your family. With that, I will turn it over to our athletic director.
Hey everyone, good to see you guys. It's been a while. I'm happy that we're finally talking about school and sports here in August. I know I've been sending a lot of emails out to everybody, and I do apologize, but there's been a lot of information that's come through. I like to get it out as early as possible so people can have adequate time to make decisions. So please just stay on the lookout for emails. There's coaches meetings coming up. There's CDP sessions coming up with more details. Those are for any new CYO coaches. Virtus session, we have a Virtus session here at Gesu on the 16th of August. If you're a coach that's not Virtus certified for any level K through 8, you have to be Virtus certified. You can reach out to me about details on that. We should be practicing volleyball and cross country starting next week. So practice times and places, all that kind of stuff. Your coaches or myself will be reaching out to you guys. And then hopefully coming up next week, we'll have a little bit more concrete information about soccer and football. The reason why cross country and volleyball are kind of in a separate category from football and soccer. OSA, Ohio High School Athletic Association, the state government, CYO, they all deem soccer and football as a contact sport. And not necessarily contact in terms of it's a physical sport. They're talking contact in terms of face-to-face, close proximities for the virus being spread. So that's why there was kind of a little bit of pause on football and soccer, and they're kind of making sure that protocols are in place and the kids are safe, the spectators are safe, referees, etc. I did just send out about an hour before the meeting started the list of kids that I have everything that's required in order for them to practice in terms of the COVID forms and the physicals. I do appreciate you guys getting me that information. I know it's a lot. I know it's kind of tedious paperwork, but with the situation that's going on right now, it just needs to be done. I am going to be a stickler on that. If your child does not have a fully filled out form or an updated physical, they will not be allowed to practice until that stuff is in. I will be making sure the coaches have lists. The coaches are checking to make sure kids are, supposed to be there and they have all the forms in. That being said, before I get into some more stuff in terms of why we're having sports and things like that, I do kind of need a couple more third grade volleyball players, to be honest. We got 7 kids right now. And I kind of can touch on this a little bit later, but CYO will not be allowing a guest rule this year, meaning you can't have guest players. So, if there's only 7 kids on the roster and a couple of kids are out for, random events or they're on vacation or what have you, which kind of happens throughout the year sometimes, that team's going to be kind of in a bind. So if there's anybody that's possibly interested in playing volleyball in the 3rd grade, please reach out. I'm going to submit the team tomorrow regardless, but I would like to have a couple extra kids on the roster just in case. And speaking of that, refunds for cross country and volleyball, CYO only. So CYO volleyball, CYO cross country. If you do want a refund and you're already previously signed up, I need to know by tomorrow, 10 a.m. I need to have an email in my inbox so I can go through and correct that and then submit teams for those 2 sports to CYO. So I know a lot of you guys are wondering why we're possibly having CYO sports, because I've gotten a lot of responses and people are kind of concerned. Well, we believe that athletics is very important to the kids, and for not just physical reasons, but psychological, spiritual, and emotional. And for Catholic schools, athletics is also a great way to teach Christian values to our students. So that's why we're allowing CYO sports to happen and intramural sports to happen, as long as you parents are safe and comfortable with your kids doing it. I've been working with CYO all summer in school and everybody to ensure that our athletics program is safe as possible. We're going to be taking all the precautions that our school's taking, and we're going to make sure that social distancing is happening when it can be. Kids are, getting the proper care in that regard. We've talked to doctors, CYO has talked to doctors, and all that kind of stuff. So their protocols have been passed by medical professionals. If anybody was, curious about that. And for anything that they want to know about CYO, I actually recently put the link to the CYO Athletic website on our home website, jesubulldogs.com. So when you go to jesubulldogs.com, you'll see CYO website. You can click that, and then right underneath it talks about a registration deadline being closed. But like I said, for specific situations, I can make things happen, especially with the pause of football and soccer. So just reach out to me, look at the website, CYO. If you have any questions or concerns, just let me know. I guess I do have to say this just in case for people that are worried. If CYO activities will be canceled if school goes to fully online. So as we mentioned earlier, if Cuyahoga County is in a purple area, I guess is what they call it, CYO sports here will be canceled or suspended for the time being. So we won't be having sports going on if the kids aren't allowed in the building, just like we did in the spring. So all the protocols for practices, a lot of you guys have been asking me about this kind of stuff, and you guys want a little bit more specific. So I'm just going to go through down the list here of things that we're going to be doing here at Gesu for practices. So let me get some water so I can properly talk. Okay. So masks will be required for every single person, which will be players and coaches entering the building. We're going to ask that you bring your own water bottle and your own bag. As the school kind of mentioned, the water fountain, the mouth part is going to be turned off, but the children will be able to access the water bottle filler if they need to refill the water bottle. Obviously, we'll have kids, one or two at a time in the hallway, keeping distance. We're not going to have them all trying to fill up the water bottles at once. Everyone's going to have to sanitize their hands. While they walk into the lobby, I'll have a table out there with a facilitator or myself. We'll have a thermometer. We'll have sanitizer. You have to sanitize your hands. Now, for the thermometer and the symptoms check, the thermometer and symptoms checklist is going to be required for indoor sports. So for the fall, it'll be for volleyball practicing. For the outdoor sports, the thermometer is going to be up to the coach if they want to do that. It's not a requirement from CYO, and the professionals say for the outdoor sports, the thermometer check for every kid, or the temp check, is not required. So that's totally up to the coaches. I can work with getting some more thermometers from boosters and things of that nature, so we can work with you on that. But for indoor sports, thermometer will be there. And just to go down through the checklist, I know I attached this on one of my emails. I think it was the big lengthy one. With COVID, all of those questions have to be answered no, along with having a temp. It says 100.4. I'm going to instruct anybody that if it's under 100, we're good. If it's above 100 at all, 100 or more, we're going to say no. So if your child has a temperature of over 100 or any of those symptoms that I just listed off, they will not be allowed to practice. They'll be sent home, and it's at least 72 hours in terms of all those symptoms. I believe is the number. Obviously, they have a positive test, their 14-day quarantine. So that's how we'll handle that. The other protocols for practicing, there's going to be no parents allowed, not even in the lobby. We're going to ask that the parents drop off the kids. They can wait in their cars. They can come back and pick them up, whatever they want to do. I know that's not the most ideal situation for the parents, but it's just for the safety of the kids and everybody involved. We're not going to have anybody hang out in the lobby like we've had in years past. You're either in the gym or you're leaving the gym and going out to your car, or you're getting your water bottle filled, or possibly going downstairs to go to the bathroom. So the gym will be cleared out, kind of like I just mentioned, after practicing. So what we're going to do is the plan is to have the kids come in through the main entrance as they always do, go through the checklist, get your temp checked for volleyball practicing, get your sanitized hands. You go into the gym, put your stuff down. You can put your mask on at that point. During practicing, no masks are required for players or coaches. That's because of what was kind of mentioned earlier, the increased heart rate. So it's not safe for the kids to be wearing masks when they're running around. And then when practice is concluded, they will go out the doors that are closest to the equipment area of the gym, back in that area, and then also where the trophy case is. So they'll kind of spit out, walk down those trophy cases. And they'll be going down that side, out the back staircase that would lead you down to the basement to go to the bathrooms. So that's the exit door. And then once they're all exited out of the building, then we'll bring in the next kids. That does mean that I'm going to ask kids to sit in the cars for a little bit if they don't want to stand outside, depending on the weather. And once again, I apologize for the inconvenience ahead of time, but it's just to keep kids safe and keep kids away from each other in case we do have an outbreak. We know, hey, this group of kids didn't interfere with that last team, so we do know we only have to worry about this team. And then for protocols for game days, very, very similar to practice. The only difference is, obviously, we're going to have some spectators. CYO is only allowing 2 parents or mixture of grandparents, but a total of 2 people for each kid coming into the gym. I'll have things marked off on the bleachers, X's where you can sit. I'll have like caution tape taped off where you can't sit. So everyone will be spaced out. The spectators will be forced to wear masks the entire time. That is not optional. It's a requirement. If you can't wear the mask, you'll be asked to put the mask on, and then you'll be asked to leave. So that's just the way it's got to be. The kids will not be wearing masks, just like practice, and they will also not be having a bench to sit on. CYO thinks it's best to have them standing, so that's what we'll be enforcing for our Gesu home CYO events. Once again, you got to bring your own water bottle, bring your own bag, and things like that. Same situation leaving. We're going to have all the kids leave the gym, and then we'll have the next group come in. I talked to CYO today, and they confirmed that they will not be scheduling games every single hour. They'll have them probably scheduled every hour and a half for that reasoning, to clear the gym, sanitize everything that needs to be sanitize the balls and the equipment, etc., and then have that next group come in. So it won't be like it's usually like years past when kids and parents are standing all over the place and there's tons of people and the game's running overtime and etc. Like that. That's not going to be the case this year. There will be less games, obviously, every Saturday and Sunday, but there's also probably going to be less teams. So I think it'll all work itself out. Yeah, no food. So there's going to be no concession stand selling of anywhere, including Gesu. So you're required to bring your own water bottle. That's it. We're not going to be selling anything, and we're not going to be selling any food. So kind of happy about that for after cleanup, but that's a whole other story. That's pretty much it. I can go into a little more detail in the guest player rule to kind of clarify. So for anybody that doesn't know, the guest rule was used a lot for Gesu teams in the past because we usually have multiple teams in every sport. So let's just take our 5th grade volleyball situation, because I think we're going to have 2 teams for 5th grade volleyball. Say we had a team that, for whatever reason, a bunch of the girls on that team was in some outside event and they're going to miss a game on a Saturday in the middle of the season. Well, in previous years, the other 5th grade volleyball team would be able to use guest players to fill in the roster spots so they would be able to compete. This year, that's not allowed. So what CYO has kind of done to combat that situation, say there's a team with a low number of kids for that Saturday or Sunday game, they are allowing teams to play 5v6, meaning say a Gesu team only had 5 kids, they could play the other team and the other team would be allowed to play them against 6. And then they can even bring it down to 4. So if we only had 4 kids, we'd still be able to play a game, and then the other team could play up to 5 kids against us. I would assume most parishes will understand the situation, and if we have a team with only 4 kids for whatever reason, I'm sure the other team would be okay with playing 4v4. But that's kind of the way the situation is. So that factors into me making my teams the way I usually did them, like last year, where we had a lot of volleyball rosters with only 8 kids, which is why I'm asking for a couple of 3rd graders, because I would like to not have 8 kids. I'd like to have 9 or 10, just in case we do have that situation. So that's kind of the guest rule. I can maybe go into more details if someone else has a question specifically to that I didn't touch on. Obviously, I'll take you guys' questions now. You can put them in the chat like you have been, and I'll kind of go through them as best as I can. If there's like a specific question for a specific team for your specific child, probably be better to just email me and I can handle that just with you. Real quick before I take the questions though, my 2 situations I have besides the 3rd grade volleyball players would be rookie tackle. We have 3 coaches right now that have reached out that wanted to help out. I would feel a little more comfortable having 4 or 5 coaches just because it's football, and I like to have the kids in smaller groups teaching technique, especially at that young age. So if there's anybody that's any bit interested or knows anything about football, please reach out to me so I can get you guys certified and get you guys in the loop. I'm assuming next week we'll have more information on football and soccer, so we'll probably start practicing the week after that. So, reach out to me about that. And then another 3rd grade girl situation, only this is soccer. Currently we have 17 3rd grade girls signed up and 11 4th grade girls signed up, but I only have 2 coaching staffs. So that's 28 kids. Obviously, that's a lot of kids. There's only 6 on the field at once, I want to say. So it'd be great to get another coaching staff or another coach. And I've heard some rumblings about maybe Shaker not being able to do their public league. They call it that. So we might have a couple more girls getting added into the mix, which would make nicely if I can get that 3rd coach. So we can have 3 teams of 10, 3 teams of 11, something like that. So if there is anybody that's interested in coaching, please let me know, because I really don't want to have a team of 14 kids when only 6 can play at once. With that, I will take questions. I don't know if you want to, Ray, you want to do that? Okay.
Yeah, some people have been, not many have asked questions, so we'll give them a few moments if they would like to. Just a thank you. There was a parent who said thank you for continuing to see CYO sports. Can I be heard? I don't have my mic.
Oh, shoot, yeah.
That's
Oh,
right.
here.
I just want to make sure I can
Hope
be
everyone
heard.
heard me.
I know there were 3 questions that we wanted to make sure we addressed. Sorry, Matt, they don't relate to sports at this time, but maybe sports questions will come in. But
Sure.
These were questions that we went through to make sure that we are addressing all of your questions. One question was related to recorded. Will all lessons be recorded? So the quick answer to that is no. But development of a teacher is developing a concept or is giving a lecture, the teacher can be recorded. So not the entire lesson, not the entire class, but if there is something that a teacher feels would be beneficial for a student to look at later on for a review of a concept, that can be recorded and that would be available, but not all lessons and not all of class. Band, will band be offered? We're waiting for a reply. We go through Music Alliance is the company we use for a band that Mr. Adams works with, and so we're waiting for a response to that, but it's looking like obviously as anything, it's always a parent choice. So we're waiting for a reply to that. If we move to all remote learning, so if the entire school building moves to remote learning, will we be live learning or synchronous learning all day? So it will look different if we are all remote. If the school building is all remote in the future, it will look different than from what it looked like in the spring. And we will set a schedule. Obviously, a schedule for a kindergartner might look different than a schedule for an 8th grader. So it will be more synchronous. And it will be more of an intense schedule than maybe was offered in this spring. And our teachers are working on that based on the grade level and based on what will be offered. So each grade level will be the same. So all 1st grade teachers would be offering the same schedule. All 2nd grade teachers would be offering the same schedule.
And they have the option of working in school.
Yes, yes, that's one of the big differences. Last spring when we had the mandate to close school, but it was also a stay-at-home order. So all of our teachers had to work from home, which was very challenging for teachers when all of their books and materials were here at school. If we move to a remote learning situation and we are able to have access to the building, our teachers would be working from the building. Which would give them access to all of their materials, give them access to our swivels, give them access to the iPads, which is just a game changer right there. Okay, the only question I think related to sports, for those who are in K-2 sports, will we still be following the recommendations for soccer as CYO?
So our K-2 soccer league is an intramural league. I believe the games are at University School, and I've only heard that they want to do the league. If they can, they're still waiting to make sure that they can do it. And if not, then it would be pushed back either till the spring or next fall. So essentially how it works is OSA has their guidelines, which is pretty much all the high schools are working under, and then CYO kind of takes what they're going to do and kind of modifies what they need to pertain it to CYO, but because CYO uses so many high schools as sites, they kind of have to work hand in hand with them. So if OSA is allowing sports to happen, CYO has been allowing sports to happen, these intramural leagues are allowing sports to happen. The only way that the K-2 soccer league would not happen is if University School deems not comfortable having outside people on the property. They kind of already made that determination with the K-2 flag football league. So I mean, just being honest, I wouldn't be surprised if they did that, but because I haven't gotten confirmation, we're still hopeful that we'll be able to do the league. If for whatever reason we do have to cancel it, just for safety precautions, obviously I'll let everybody know and I can refund you at that time.
Okay. All right, thank you. At this time, I think we've exhausted our questions. If for some reason I have missed one, it's not because it's intentional. PTO, yes. not intentional, but just because there are many questions. So please feel free to send it to our communications@gesu.com. I did want to pass it over. Obviously, we wanted to pass it over to our PTO, who have been excellent and share their thoughts and ideas.
We just wanted to say thank you to the parents who have participated with us as we have developed questions and expressed our concerns to the administration as well as to the administration. As Father Kaiser stated, what this really is about choice. And I know that Jen and I came to this with kind of different concepts of what we were looking for. As the county guidelines came out, one of the things that we were really strong about was what school looked like and how school would be able to go forward needed to be clear. And that is what was developed with these guidelines, the health and safety considerations, the distance considerations. And so as a parent, as you're making your choice of where you want your child to go to school, it is okay if you are not comfortable with the guidelines that we have in place. That is why we have offered, the school has offered the robust at-home option. Similarly, if you are a parent who sees the guidelines that are put in place and feel like this is too much for your child, you don't want them in masks, you don't want them to follow these protocols throughout the day, that is also okay. You also have the choice of doing online learning until there are some adjustments when we are all in a place where it can be safer. But right now, for this plan to work, for in-school options to remain, as well as for the virtual options to be able to continue, we all need to participate in this process. If you have questions, if you have concerns, if you need to speak with your teachers, make sure that you're following up with your children and your teachers, both online and in the school. If you are concerned with how you feel this is going, we need to speak up on a regular basis to continue making this a process that works for us all. So again, thank you all. The PTO will be here throughout the year. We will be having meetings. We will have an additional town hall discussion meeting with parents later this year in the fall to talk about how things are going, if there are additional issues that we need to raise. As always, we appreciate your volunteering, your participation. We will be providing additional items for you to help with the masks and the mask breaks. We are looking into providing the lavaliers that were suggested at an earlier, the lanyards that were suggested earlier, so that the students will be able to attach their masks to them so that they're not touching the ground, that they remain sanitary. We will be looking at the various activities and things that we generally offer. And although we know they cannot go through the same type of presentation for our different activities, we're looking at things that can replace them but still make those events special. So please continue to participate, continue to respond, make the choice that is best for your family, and we look forward to remaining Gesu together.
Thank you to each of you. As we look around the room, we started this so long ago as far as our reentry plan, and it wouldn't have been possible without all of the help and support from various stakeholders. Know that we're going to be involving our kids as well, especially with our new counselors in place. We'll be soliciting input from our kids as well about their feelings and how school can become a better place for them. You know, as I look around the room, I see the poster here that encourages the growth mindset for our kids. It certainly has been a time period where we've tested our resilience and challenged our thinking process. And within this room, it says difficult things take a long time and impossible things take a while longer. It has been possible through the hard work, and once again, I thank the PTO for everything that they've done, and for my colleagues in this room. We look forward to a new year and a year of choice and good things happening for our students. I'd like to ask Father Kaiser to end it for us. Thank you.
Again, thank you, everybody, and thank you for your participation this evening. Just thought I would end talking a little bit about how we look at where we are from a faith perspective. None of us have ever been through a pandemic. This is new for all of us. But what's not new is the whole reason why we're here, and that is the gospel. This Sunday's gospel is a very powerful gospel where we hear Peter say, "I'm afraid," and Jesus say, "Do not be afraid." Do not be afraid is something like 70 times in the scriptures, depending, of course, on your translation. In that gospel, when Peter's walking on the water, he loses sight of Jesus and fear comes into him. And so Jesus has to reach down and pull him up. We all know the scene of Jesus on the water. I think that's such a great image for how we look at where we are today. We believe that God is with us always and is with us through thick and thin, through pandemic and non-pandemic. But where we get fearful is when we lose our sense of where God is with us, how God leads us, when we take our eyes off of Jesus Christ. When we do that, we are more fearful. And so if there's ever been a time that faith is important, if there's ever been a time when we should be focused on our faith, if there's ever been a time to keep our eyes focused on the crucifix, on the one who's come to walk us through challenge, to walk us through difficulty, who walks with us in our suffering, it's now. And so what I just encourage all of us to do as we navigate these very difficult, kind of exhausting as well, and fearful times of the pandemic, just encourage us, like Peter, to come out of that boat, but don't take our eyes off of Jesus. Let him be the one who gives us hope and who gives us assurance and takes our fear away during these times. We're so grateful to have such a great partnership with everybody here that's been on this task force, and even more so with you, to raise our children and to give them the faith and to prepare them for a world that awaits them with good things. Good night, and God bless.